This is a side handle teapot like I'm going to make today. The handle comes off the side, obviously, and that way you can pour the tea with this twisting action. It's just a different type of teapot and a nice aesthetic, in my opinion. There's a balance to it. It's a very traditional Oriental style as far as I know. So let me show you how we're going to do that. What I'm starting with is about 2¼ pounds of a light clay. It's High Waters Loafer's Glory, which is really similar to Laguna's B-Mix, if you are familiar with that brand. I like them both. I'm using 2¼ pounds, so it's going to be a pretty small teapot. I want it to be a side-handled teapot. Of course, we start by centering the clay, opening up the center. I usually like to measure how deep my center is if I haven't thrown in a little while, and since it's just after Christmas, it has been a little while. That's not too bad. One of the things we want to consider when making a teapot is how light it is. And I don't like to trim off a lot of clay, so I'm going to keep that floor light. That then. What I'm doing right now is just compressing the clay. Anybody that's been doing this for a while is really used to the steps that I just did. I do have some beginner watchers, so appreciate advanced people bearing with me. I'm just going to pull this up using a method called a claw, where essentially I just grab onto the clay bottom and inside at the floor and roll my hand up. That's my first pull. Can usually get some good height that way. Put some more. I'm not really concerned about this teapot being really tall. I actually want it to be a little squatty. I think side-handle teapots look good that way, but some people like taller ones. It's all a matter of your own aesthetic. When I pull up the clay, you may notice that I use a sponge. I do that just to keep the clay moist on the pull, and just like using a knuckle, you can get a good amount of clay in your hand in one pull. The next thing I like to do is take a flat rib with a flat edge, and clean off some of that clay down at the bottom that we don't need. Wet the rib, and I'm going to pull using the rib, and that just makes a nice compression. I'll still use a rib for shaping, but I just like that compression pull. I want to make sure that I can fit my hand inside the mouth of the teapot. If you want to clean it or something, it's always nice to be able to get your hand in there. A little bit dry on the inside, so I'm going to add a little moisture. And now I'm doing some shaping. I'm leaving a little bit of an edge up here. My lid will sit on there. I may change my mind on that in a little bit, depending on how it looks. This is a flexible rib I'm going to use to help shape it. Not only does it shape, but it also compresses. As I stated earlier, I'm using about 2 1/4 pounds of clay. So I know that this teapot is going to hold a little bit more than 2 of my mugs full of coffee, or tea rather, because the mugs that I make are normally made with a little bit less than 2 pounds of than a pound of clay. Imagine a 2-pound mug, that'd be heavy. Couldn't lift it. When I make items like teapots especially, I try to make several of them in one sitting. The reason for that is to make sure that I've got handles and spouts that match the pots nicely. I want them all to be well matched. And sometimes when you throw a handle or a spout or a lid, it may look better on one pot than on the other. So if you've got multiples, you can choose which one you want to use, which one's going to look better. The hard part on that is, of course, throwing several teapots or jars or whatever where the lid is the same size. But it actually sounds a lot more difficult than it really is. Once you practice a bit, you're going to get a rhythm down. And if you throw all your bases together at the same time, instead of throwing the base of the teapot, then the spout, then the handle, then the lid, then throwing another teapot, you're going to keep that rhythm going. So I've got what looks like a pretty nice teapot shape. I'm going to leave it on the bat make the undercut with my knife so I can pull my wire underneath it. I'm just going to leave this shape in case I need to make any alterations on it before I take it off the bat. Now is the time also where I'll take my caliper tools and I will measure the inside. And now this is what I was talking about. You sort of get into a habit. I had thrown another covered vessel a week or so ago, and it's the same size, so I don't have to make a change to my calipers. They're actually already set at the right size for the lid, which is going to sit down in here and then cover over the top. You'll see that when I throw that in the next clip.